Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com, and believe it or not, it is already Friday again at 3 o'clock, and we're coming back to you live to answer a few questions maybe. And whew, what a week it has been. Good grief. Now, if you hear any noise as we're going along, it's on the other side of that wall. We're actually building out another studio, so we're just going to have to deal with it because I'm not slowing them down even for y'all. We'll just have to put up with any noise that may creep over as we're doing this. And as promised, I said I would lead off with any questions I may have missed or not been able to get to at the end of the session last Friday. And hopefully he's still on today. And his name is Shahir. And he says, after watching your videos multiple times, I feel like you were the right person to talk to about this problem that I'm having with a Yamaha R6 2011, 13,000 miles. Been doing a little bit of riding, have you? Okay, so when I start my bike, it fires up cold really nice. Okay, after the temperature reaches 135, the RPMs start fluctuating and it starts bouncing around. After a few bounces, the engine will die. If I put it in gear and ride it at low RPMs, it will misfire. Going through the forums and the videos, I ended up replacing the spark plugs, ignition coils, fuel filter, and changed the cam and pickup sensor, but the problem is still there. I don't know what else to look for. I need guidance about this problem. Any help is appreciated. Well, you have probably headed down the correct path most anybody would have thought. And what I want to focus in on is the fuel filter itself, because this really sounds like a fuel-related problem. Just because it has a clean fuel filter doesn't mean that there still isn't a problem with the fuel system somewhere. And what I will be leery of at this point is the actual fuel pressure. So what we need to see is what the pressure is at just idle, and then popping the throttle a little bit to see if it'll hold it. And if I remember correctly, on the R6, you should have somewhere in between 48 and 52 PSI coming out of the, told you. Be right back. Coming out directly out of the pump inside of the tank, which also, as a matter of fact, has the gauge in there as well. So you need to find somebody that has a fuel pressure tester. I mean, I'm sure that we sell them on Partzilla.com, but this may be a one-time use. I would ask around on the forum, see if anybody in your group with an R6, or it's going to be basically any Yamaha, that tester is going to work on where the unit has fuel injection. So that's the direction I'd want to point you. I mean, worst case, if you can't find anybody, then you may need to take it to a dealership and at least have them do that test for you. It shouldn't set you more than just 1 hour's worth of labor at the most for them just to lift up your tank, install the tester in line, and do a quick test. I'm not sure that I don't think we did one for the R6, but I'm pretty sure we did a pressure test for the Gixxer 1000. So if you would reference that, and I can walk you through the process of how to do it. But that's where I would go next if I was working on your particular bike. All right, we've got a question from Angel, and unfortunately for me, he's asking me a question in Spanish. Buddy, I took Spanish 40-something years ago, and I barely got through the class. If anything, I think the teacher is a little upset that I barely skimmed by my senior year. Sorry, Senora Struer, but you know, I apologize for being such a pain in the butt. But at any rate, we do have people in the call center that can translate Spanish. So guys, if you would, give me the translation for that, and I will try to answer Angel's question. Tweety D is saying, good afternoon, buddy. Well, good afternoon to you as well. Uh-oh, I'm being watched by Charlotte. I better do this one right. All right, Mike is asking me, hi, John, I have a 18 Polaris Sportsman 570. It makes a grinding noise when going around 10 miles an hour or so, and when I turn left slowly. Not all the time, but too often. Because it's doing it at a lower RPM and when you're turning, that kind of points me in the direction of drivetrain being one of the front CV joints. So I would say, well, let's lift up the machine, get the pressure off of the front end, and see if you can move the CV axles fore or aft or up and down, see if there's any type of play in there. The other thing you want to look for, this may be a little too simplistic, but it could happen. There is a shield, I believe, on the back side of the brake disc, and if that is being bound to where it could possibly push into the disc itself, that could be it. So well, it was pretty much just bringing it up. Let's take the tires off and just inspect anything and see if there's anything, obviously mechanically wrong, because that's what you're going to be looking for. Beyond that, if all of that checks out, then we may need to start looking at the differential. And at that point, you can put the tires back on it and just rotate it and just listen carefully with the front end lifted. See if you can hear any type of grinding going on inside that differential housing. Hopefully that's not the case, and it'll just be something simple like a CV axle and or something that's been bent into one of the disc for the braking system. All right, Juan is asking me, hey John, I have a 2006 YFZ450 and it seems to backfire pretty bad. I was riding and it started to backfire while riding, then eventually died. Would it be a carburetor problem or what could be it? I would definitely aim toward the carburetor because it sounds like it is getting way too much fuel pulled in. Hold on a second. Feels like it's getting drowned a little bit and causing it to backfire back through the intake. The other thing I would take a look at, and this is going to be a little bit odd, when's the last time you adjusted your valves? That could be an issue as well. So why don't we take a peek at those two things? I'd probably take a look at the valves first, and then I would take a look at the carburetor, see if it's trying to kick a little bit too much fuel back into the intake. All right, another YFZ450, same year. MC is asking me, hey, I have a 2006 YFZ450. The cam caps have wear. Should I take it to the shop or get a new one? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me there, the cam caps. Give me a little bit more information on that. When you're saying they have a little bit of wear, you're saying the actual cams are having a little bit of wear? Give me some more, let me know. Eddie is asking me, hi John, thanks for doing this question. In the middle of an 85 Rebel 250 rebuild, be all right with you? Hey, the sound of progress, this is a good thing. I could tell him to take a break, but no, we're not going to do that. So, took apart the brake caliper. There is a hole in between the piston bores about 4 to 5 millimeters across. Normal, or do I need a new caliper? I'm pretty sure that's a pass-through for the fluid to get from one side to the other for that twin piston. So I would say no, that should be fine. I don't think you need to get a new caliper. Just maybe replace the seals, clean up the bores a little bit carefully. Don't use sandpaper or anything like that, and then get it back together.
Check Skype.
What's that?
Check Skype.
Why do I need to check Skype?
With a Spanish question.
Oh, okay. This was the Spanish question that we started off with. Let me bring that back up. From Angel. The oil from the box of a Razor 800 Ranger, where does it go? All right, a couple of contrasting points here. A Razor and a Ranger are two different things, and I'm not sure what you're asking me there, Angel. The oil from the box of a Razor, where does it go? You have to give me a little bit more to go on. If you're saying that it's maybe spitting up oil into the airbox, I'm guessing that could be the case. I mean, sometimes that happens, especially when they're overfilled. You need to be careful, especially on the Razor 800 when you're filling those, because I believe that is a dry sump system, and there's a certain procedure you have to go through as far as draining and then refilling it. And some people overfill it, and then oil will actually go in and saturate the air filter and make a mess out of things. But to answer your question, make sure that you go through the process correctly when you're refilling it and don't overfill it. But where does it go? Well, there's a drain at the bottom that you can take off and release the oil out of there. All right, let me get back to the questions. All right, Glenn is asking me, hey John, what are some maintenance / upgrades you would do to a 2013 Honda Rancher 420 besides the fuel filter, oil filter, and the diff oil? Well, the good part about a Honda 420, man, those things are practically bulletproof. And if you're going through and doing your filters and your oil and your differential and the engine, and you're doing it right. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And really, as long as you stay on top of those things, well, there's one thing that you didn't mention. This is a 2013, so she's coming up on 8 years old. I bet you haven't done a coolant flush on that one yet. If not, then it's time to go ahead and do that. And the 420 is one that we have not done on camera yet, although I have one in the corral, and we'll add that to the list of projects that we need to get accomplished. Boy, they're having a field day next door, and I love it. All right, looks like somebody else answered the question for me. I'm going to share it with the class here. Brady came back. Cam caps. The YFZ will wear from oil starvation on startup. This is extremely common. Cam caps can't be purchased separately from the new head since they share a wear pattern. Okay. Warm the machine up before you ride. Bradley, thank you. I appreciate that. And guys, if we can get in touch with Bradley, maybe send him a little swag pack. I think he earned one today. So see if we can make that happen. Chris, you are welcome. Jimmy is asking me, hi John, our CB500X original OEM brake pads I'm not sure what that word is. C-U-N, considered, or H-H, or G-G. Thanks, Jimmy from Israel. I'm not sure what you're asking me there. Guys, anybody else want to chime in on that one? I'm not sure what Jimmy's asking me from Israel. Configured, HH or GG. I'm not sure what the difference between HH and GG is, but that's a good guess. Thanks, Evan. And you're welcome as well. Glenn said I haven't done the coolant. A coolant flush video would be helpful. We'll get on it. All right, Tracy, you heard the people. You need to get your tail back down here so we can do some more recording. Enough of these solo videos. Good grief. Let's get some work done. Now you know how I feel about that.
Did you answer Addie?
Thanks, Addie. Thanks so much. In addition, there's a slight nick in the very back of both bores next to this hole, about 1 millimeter deep. Will that affect caliper performance? No, that's probably just a side cut they had to make into where the fluid will flow into it easier, more than likely. Not that I took a class in fluid dynamics, but no. From what you're telling me, especially where it's symmetrical from one bore to the other, they're going to be fine. Just clean them up, put another set of seals and dust covers in there, and it should be good to go. Nolan is asking me, I have a 2015 YFZ450R. My quad is making a ticking noise in the motor, and I don't know what it is. Whenever somebody tells me it's ticking, I usually head toward the valves. So I'd say bring it around a top dead center and check the clearance on those and see if we need to do anything about it. All right, Certified is asking me, hi John, I have a GSXR 750, a 2007. The secondary injectors, I assume Army, aren't spraying at all. It's just the first injector to the left is spraying super rich. What causes the injector not to spray? Well, one of two things. Either A, it's not getting enough pressure, or B, it could be stopped up. And if these are the injectors that I think you're talking about, you can actually clean those. And we have a video showing you how to do that with a little kit they have from Motion Pro. I can walk you through how to potentially clean those out. Very good. Thanks again, Bradley. So what else do we have? All right, Brandon's asking me, I am having some issues with my razor. It's the 2013 900, and while riding this past weekend, the power steering kept going out and the check engine light kept coming on. I tested the battery and it's at 12.6, but at idle, wow, it's at 15.9. I tested the stator and I'm getting 0.5 ohms, which is way above spec for AC volts, and I'm getting 3 volts at idle. How can this be? Can this be if the battery is getting overcharged? Oh, I would definitely think so. 16's way too high, 16 volts. So I would lean toward the regulator rectifier, because you should be, even under a really, really hard load, maybe 14 and a half. 16's too high, and it is just wreaking havoc on your electrical system, and it's taking its toll over on that power steering. So I would, I think without hesitation, you can go ahead and replace the regulator rectifier, and then that should straighten it out. I really don't think it's the stator, because you can do an AC check on it to see if it's in the 35 to 45 volts AC range. That should be about right for the razor, but it's the responsibility of that regulator rectifier to take all that voltage and then send out a study, DC. And that's not happening in your case. All right, guys. Chronic is asking me, I have a 2007 YFZ450. I want to up the CCs. Would you recommend a big bore kit or high compression piston and extend the crank, or both? And I want to run pump gas. Well, you're kind of trying to eat your cake and keep it as well. It's a trade-off, as most things are. If you go with a higher compression, that means you've got to have a higher octane in there, because when you shrink up that area, the octane level where it wants to ignite needs to be higher. If you don't do that, then it's not going to have the correct burn. So I would probably steer away from doing the compression unless you have no problem ordering VP Racing fuels. I mean, there's great fuels, but they are expensive. And if you're like me, I would rather run them on 93 to where I can fill up where I want to for the most part. So go to a big bore kit then, instead of the high compression. Just go big bore, and I probably wouldn't mess with the crank. I'd increase the bore size a little bit, and then I would leave it alone. Beyond that, may want to look into do a combination of a big bore kit as well as a different cam profile to take advantage of that. When you do that, you're also going to need to probably look into a programmer, because now you're going to be changing the air-fuel ratio that's coming in, because you've changed the dynamics of the engine. So just doing one little part, it's not a little part, you can't just do one part. You need to do things as a kit, more or less. So bigger displacement, different cam, different controller for your air-fuel, or an additional controller for your air-fuel ratio. So it's a fun game to play, but you better be ready to do more, all of it together, and just not one piece at a time. One piece at a time is going to get you into trouble. T-Money's asking me, when are you going to rebuild a Honda 420? I'm ready. The machine's here. The parts are right behind the camera that's staring at me right now. Tracy, that's another one. Come on, get back down here and let's get to work on that 420 that's been waiting for a year now. I'm harassing my editor, videographer. She's a lot more than that. Multi-layered design person, do it all. I shouldn't tweak her nose. She can make my life difficult.
Tell Bradley to message us on Facebook.
Okay. Bradley, if you would, send us a message on Facebook over on that page, to where our guys can get in touch with you on a private message and get you that swag pack. He's answering another question for me. We need to hire this guy. Come on. He was saying at MC, they can be checked at the machine shop using plastic gauge. He is correct, and cleaned up with a micron paper. It depends on how much wear is present. Something they will assembly caps and rehone slightly. Yep. He is correct. All right, Sebastian's asking me, I bled the rear brake on my Honda CBR 600RR. Thanks a lot for your help on that. The pedal has a lot more compression, but now it feels like too much compression, too hard, too short. So you feel like it's harder to push the pedal, and then it's just not really engaging in the on the slave cylinder as well. I would probably pull apart the brake caliper itself and take a look inside. Sounds to me like maybe those bores are trying to hold back a little bit and not fully engage with the pad, and then not release either. So I would probably head for that next. What else do we have going on? T-Money, I've already pled our case to Tracy, so we'll see. Gulam is asking me, man, it is a YFZ450F day today. Hi, John, I have an issue with the YZ450F. After some ride, its coolant starts to drain from the drain pipe. I replaced the radiator cap, but still the same. All right, well, when was it changed last, and who did it, and did they overfill it potentially? And plus, I don't see a year on which model. I mean, because when the bike's under stress and everything is getting really hot, that's what that little drain pipe is for, is that if it's overpressurized or not overpressurized. Overfilled, as it starts to heat up, it expands. That gives it somewhere to escape instead of potentially eating up your head gasket. I would go back and make sure that I put the correct amount of fluid in there. And this is a bit of a side note. What type of coolant did you use for this particular, or for that particular machine? Hopefully you didn't just run to the local parts store and pick up some of the green stuff. I never recommend that. It just does not seem to work out well in the power sports industry. You need to go back with the Yamalube. The Yamalube brand, if at all possible, because I know that works. Bradley says, bring me in for a live Q&A with John. Hey, we might be able to make that work. Come on, let's do it, Bradley. All right, Travis is asking me, my servo motor won't stop spinning on my CBR 1000RR. All right, well, that tells me that it's probably an ECU issue if it's just sitting there spinning, that, or there should be a sensor that should tell the throttle bodies what position that the armature is in, not the armature, but the arm for the throttles. And it sounds like one of those two things has happened. Either the ECU is flaked out and it is just sending a run signal to it and is causing it to spin, or it's not getting a signal from the position switch, and it is trying to get it to either open or close. I kind of believe that it's going to be the ECU, because I know that if it loses communication with the position sensor, its default mode is to shut down, because what you're describing right here, if it was trying to open the throttle bodies, would be a runaway machine, and they're not going to let that happen. So I think there's a problem potentially with the ECU, or probably with the ECU at this point. That's where I'd head next. You can go ahead and check the position sensor to make sure I'm not right, but my bet is on the ECU. Fazant is asking me, I have a Yamaha 2000 Bear Tracker. What does the brake assist switch, do? There's a brake switch that actually activates a light on the back of it, your brake light. So I would imagine that's what you're talking about. Yeah, that's just a switch to activate a light. That's all. Jared is asking me, I rebuilt a Mikuni carb for a Grizzly 450. I'm having throttle issues since then. Thoroughly cleaned, all new components. Will idle, but pressing the throttle causes it to die. I checked the float, the diaphragm spring, well, you're heading in the right direction, and even cleaned the jets again. Well, you just ran down everything that I was going to tell you to do. When you checked that diaphragm, and I know these can be tricky to get them to seal back up right. I don't know why Mikuni made it so difficult. Make sure that the diaphragm is actually pressed into that groove around the top of the carburetor, top of the carburetor housing. Because I've seen them where if it just one little part of it is either nicked or pushed out of that groove, it'll do what you're describing. So I'd say go back to the diaphragm, because I think that's where your problem's going to be. And if you haven't replaced it, go ahead and do so, because those diaphragms over time, they're made out of rubber, and they're going to get more brittle, and then they're not going to want to move as they should. But it sounds like yours is more dramatic than that, and it's actually not getting the, I don't want to say pressure, but the vacuum necessary to actually open up. It's just, and that's what's causing it to die. All right, Lou is asking me, I have a 2016 Polaris Ranger 900 XP. There's a strong rattle underneath that I can't find when I'm going about 10 to 20 miles an hour. Of course, it looks impossible to look under while driving. Any ideas? I'd be curious to know how many miles, and honestly, it sounds like it may be that prop shaft that goes from the rear transmission up to the front, because that is constantly turning, whether or not you've got it in 2-wheel or 4-wheel drive. And halfway through, there is a bearing. I can't remember which panel you have to pull to get to, but it sounds like that bearing may be starting to go out and it's starting to rattle around in there, at that 15 to 20 miles per hour. So I would say, if you can get to it from the bottom, and if you can see the actual the shaft that I'm talking about, see if you can reach up in there and move it. If you can move it at all, yeah, the bearing's shot out, and you're going to need to do something about it. So take a look there first. And good grief, did we just blow through another 30 minutes again? All right, guys. Well, Jay, I didn't get to you, and oh, good grief, and Walter, and there's a few more guys. My team, if you would, get all those questions, go ahead and copy and paste them right now so I can lead off with them next week. And we may have to do this for longer than 30 minutes in upcoming live sessions. Well, guys, I do want to say thank you for coming here with us, spending a little bit of time, especially shopping here with us at Partzilla.com. We appreciate it. It makes all of this possible, because we have a common goal, is to keep your machine back out on the road, track, or trail as effectively and cost effectively as possible, and occasionally make them go a little bit faster in the process. Once again, we want to say thank you, and we will see you next week. Have a great week, and we will see you next Friday. God bless.